Can't have any holiday celebration without a really, really tasty, yummy dessert. So today, we are making apple crisp, and the reason why I love doing a crisp recipe is because it's a fruit. I get to count this as part of my fruits and vegetables. I love this dish also because it incorporates whole grains into our diet as well. We have about 5 apples sliced. You'll notice that we've sliced these and we've kept the skin on. Keep the skin on, that's where all the really great fiber is and yumminess. We're gonna add these to our pan. Now, if you didn't necessarily just want all apples in your crisp, by all means, you could add blueberries. You could even use some of those cranberries in here. Oh my goodness, so deliciousness. Now, we're gonna put about 1/4 cup of brown sugar in here for a little bit of sweetness. In addition to a tablespoon of flour, that's gonna help to thicken any juices that come out of here. That's a teaspoon, so I need to add a little more flour. And then also some cinnamon. This is about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now, I love cinnamon, so I like to add a little extra cinnamon. So the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon. I say we use a full teaspoon. So again, we're just gonna toss this all together in the pan. Then what makes a crisp is a topping, right? The best part of a crisp recipe. So we got all of those apples covered with the sugar, with the cinnamon, with the flour. Oh my goodness, this is smelling so good already. Let's make the crisp part. I'm just gonna push that aside for a second. I have a bowl here, and we are going to add 1/2 cup of brown sugar. You don't have to say no to sugar. Let's just be cautious about and conscious about how much sugar that we have at our meal. So this is 1/2 cup of brown sugar. This is 1/2 cup of flour, and this is white wheat flour. So did you know there are 2 different varieties of wheat grains? One is a white wheat and then one is a red wheat. Sorry, excuse me. So this is white wheat. It's a whole grain wheat flour. Red wheat is often that heartier kind of brown color of wheat that you find. And finally, well, not finally, but we're gonna add the oats next. Now, if you're gluten-free, by all means, you can modify this recipe with alternative flour, and then also making sure that your oats are whole grain. Now, if you needed a little thickener on here versus the flour, you could even do a little bit of cornstarch, going back to those apples, if you wanted to make this gluten-free. And then finally, we have a little bit of butter. Now this is a stick of butter that we are going to add into our flour, sugar, and oat mixture. Now I'm just gonna cut this butter in to this. Make sure you get it all because that is an important part. We're just gonna mix this, zhuzh it all together. I think I used that term before. Just making sure that the flour, the oats, the butter, and the brown sugar are all mixed up together. Making sure that that butter is incorporated. That's what's really gonna make this crisp lovely, is that butter that's melting with those yummy oats. I love this. Again, we're using a whole wheat flour, we're using oats, which are whole grains. So not only in this dish am I getting my apples for my fruit, but I'm getting my whole grains as well. So I have it all mixed together. You know, my favorite tool in the kitchen is my hands. I'm gonna give it a final mix. And then I'm gonna sprinkle this right on top of those wonderful looking apples over here. Make sure that all of it is incorporated, spread out, getting that yummy goodness all over those apples. This is gonna go into the oven and bake for about 20 minutes until those apples are soft and that crisp topping is nice and golden brown.